most of us would have had an experience or multiple experiences with opportunist people. Many of us may still be having experiences and we may not be knowing what is to be done. The reality of life is many a times there are opportunists who are surrounding us. And the unfortunate point is many times we don't even realize that someone is an opportunist. Now, when it comes to opportunists, how can you spot them? There are various ways to spot them, primarily focusing on observation as well as their track record. And today, I would share with you 7 vital points or action points in terms of how you could spot an opportunist. So, the first point, which is generally observed pertaining to opportunists, is the fact that most of them engage in outright or excessive flattery. So, in case you come across someone who's trying to flatter you, or you possibly have this thought that this particular person is trying to appreciate a quality of yours which is not that great as per your own assessment, or that someone is trying to augment or possibly try to praise you when there is nothing much to be talked about a certain quality of yours as per your assessment, then definitely you are being flattered. So opportunists definitely flatter or engage in excessive flattery or try to overtly praise someone. So this is the red flag or the first red flag pertaining to an opportunist. The second point for you to observe and to understand whether a person is an opportunist or otherwise is to understand that opportunists are self-centered. So for them, they are ready to do anything unethical or immoral, and at times maybe even illegal, to achieve their objectives. So they are ready to trample someone or possibly stand on someone's back to achieve their goals. So you'll need to realize that these are self-centered people who can do anything to achieve their goals. What matters to them is I, me, and myself. The third point, when it comes to these individuals or opportunist people, one, they take credit many a times for what they have not even done. Of course, they will definitely claim credit for what they have done. Even certain tasks or achievements that they have not done, they would prefer to take credit. And as I mentioned, they don't care about anyone. What matters to them is they themselves and their own glory and their own success. So they would definitely take credit for something which their subordinates or team members or colleagues or anyone within their team have possibly done. They can actually take credit for that. The next point that you'll need to look out to identify if someone is an opportunist is an opportunist would take credit for something that they would have not done. At the same time, they would also blame others in case something goes wrong. So they are generally the first to blame someone if something goes wrong. Even if they have done something wrong, they would find a scapegoat to put that complete blame about. So you must have seen opportunist bosses who do a certain mistake and try to put a blame on their subordinate. And unfortunately, the subordinate faces the brunt, and at times someone may also lose his or her job in the process. So it's a very unfortunate situation, especially if your boss is an opportunist. The next point pertaining to understanding or spotting an opportunist is the point that an opportunist engages in deceptive behavior. So the person is trying to manipulate all the time. An opportunist realizes, irrespective of his or her success, what is the biggest worry for them is someone else's success. So whatever they need to do to stall or create an impediment to someone else's success, they would definitely do that. It could be in terms of maligning someone's reputation, getting into character assassination, spreading rumors across the organizational grapevine or otherwise, and ensuring that people have a very negative perception of someone who possibly they perceive to be a threat to themselves or to them. So that's another factor. So they would go into any kind of deception or manipulation even at the cost of someone's reputation, to malign someone and destroy someone's career or possibly even life. So that's an unfortunate reality. The last point pertaining to spotting an opportunist is you'll need to understand that an opportunist would only focus on short term glory or short term success. So, because they want to achieve certain goals, they want to look at everything which is short term. They don't think the long term. They want instant gratification and they want to achieve success at the fastest at any cost. So, if you look at someone or you come across someone who's willing to do anything to achieve success or get wealthy in a very short span of time, there's a very high possibility that person may also exhibit opportunistic behavior. Now, going one step further, other than the points which I mentioned, the seventh point is going to be how you can actually manage or look at dealing with opportunist people. So, what you need to be wary, whether at the workplace or in life in general, try to observe patterns in behavior of such people. So one thing I always realize and I always also share with other individuals, bad behavior or negative qualities like opportunism are like chickenpox. So when someone gets chickenpox, whatever they try to do to hide the rashes are always going to be visible, at least for some time, maybe even after they've completely recovered. So bad behavior and engaging in negative elements like opportunism, this cannot be hidden for too long. So what you need to do in case you suspect someone to be an opportunist or you have enough credible information to believe so, try to do a back check on that particular person. Try to analyze past behavior. Speak to people who are trustworthy and try to understand more about this person. And if this person is truly an optimistic, then you should steer clear of that person. Now the point is, we can't always get into altercations with people. How many people can we actually get into arguments or fights with? So as one of my very senior colleagues very nicely mentions, you cannot wrestle with a pig. So that's a reality. So there are certain people who you don't want to get into arguments or altercations. It's best to avoid them because, as I mentioned to you, these are people who can do anything illegal, immoral or unethical to achieve their goals, which we cannot do. So we may not be able to get into an unethical or immoral level to combat them. So what do we do in such a scenario? Be aware, understand that these are people who we do not need to interact with or as less as possible interact with, and steer clear from those people. That's going to be extremely vital. Because since we don't have similar value systems as them, or we have better values than them, it's going to be difficult for us to engage in a duel, which should not be the case, which is going to be an investment of time and effort. And you need to do that only if you have no other option. So these are the points in terms of how you can spot opportunists and how you can deal with them. So please be wary because opportunists are all around us, and many a times we don't realize that someone is an opportunist, and the damage that can be done in case you don't realize someone is an opportunist and continue trusting that person, it can actually have great consequences. So stay aware and beware of opportunists. All the very best. Thank you very much for your time.